this is the Popcorn Politics after show. We're going to be continuing our Matrix retrospective with 2 and 3. Full disclosure, I have not seen either 2 or 3. So Daniel Lewis Crumpton and his probably not high Watson, Kai, are going to lead on this conversation.
Yeah, well, Kai wasn't allowed on a live show, was he, Dylan?
If I had known he was going to poorly behave, like you were, I might have let him on.
Yeah, but you know what? I think I dropped enough F-bombs for the both of us on the live show.
You did. You did. You took my great first hour, and now it's going to be marked explicit.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Breath,
Brian.
that show.
My first hour guest, Brian, was so well behaved.
Yeah,
he did so good. And
Well-
then you came in and started talking about orgies and
blowing red stank up girls' booty holes.
no, that's you. That's on your resume, man.
All right,
Okay.
dude.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so this will be a little bit because we don't really have. I mean, we do have a time limit. We don't have to rush up against a clock of an imaginary, whatever studio type thing. This is us. Basically, Kai, because Kai really wanted to do the Matrix Trilogy, on a show with us, even though he doesn't really want to do the popcorn politics. And it's kind of cool because
rude.
No, I mean, it's that's.
I'm just fucking with him.
Well, I mean, don't you have your reasons for like
I'm
not?
on the same podcast, Dylan. So like, just because I don't say nothing doesn't mean I'm not here. And you hurt feelings. The last little bit of feelings they had, like, just stepped on them.
And we're about to have an intervention.
Oh, Pat.
Dylan, do you recognize that you hurt Kai Wong's feelings?
Kai, Pat.
Kai, do you accept Dylan's pat? Listen, guys, this friendship, this bond that we all share is too precious to forsake over what is the equivalent of spilled milk. Yes?
Spilled water?
Is it
Spilled water.
even spilled?
I don't think it was.
It seems
Okay.
to have been misplaced.
All right. The reason I find it appropriate that Kai is going to join us for this set is because I am very proud to say, and the Matrix 2 and 3 really dives into this idea, is I had the honor and the privilege, Dylan, which you probably know if you look at my Facebook feed, which nobody really does, but I do because I'm a narcissist. I don't look at anybody else's Facebook page because why do I give a fuck what you do?
Hold on. I'm sorry. What is that noise?
That is a text message coming to my phone.
Okay.
With fucking volume down, dude. I did.
Several.
Yeah, that volume is really loud.
Really?
Yeah. It's like it overpowers your voice.
It's like somebody's trying to get my attention. Okay. Anyway, the reason I find it very apropos is because Kai, I recently dropped off like a little schoolboy at a Taoist temple in North Georgia, didn't I?
Yes, sir, you did. And it was amazing. Like, simply put, amazing.
Well, first, I mean, because honestly, dude, I think I have the general gist of Taoism, or is it Taoism or Taoism?
I mean, it's just the pronunciation on the word. Like, Americans pronounce it Taoism. Chinese, Taiwanese, whatever you want to be, like, it's pronounced Taoism. Either way, Tao, it doesn't matter. It means the same thing in the sense of the word.
Okay, and give us a general overview of the philosophy of it. From what you understand of it, anyway, thus far.
All right, so Taoism is it's a belief structure made or founded on the philosophies of Lao Tzu. Lao Tzu is this fictional character, maybe, who existed like way before like Jesus Christ. But it's good. It's simple, and it's pretty much if you want to compare and contrast between Native American culture and Taoism, they're one and the same because they believe in the energy of the universe, of Mother Earth, to take care of you, and in the sense, get out of the reincarnation cycle. All right. I've always had a hard time believing in reincarnation because of the simple fact of it's cruel. Like, I mean, if we lived one life and we remember that one life, and everybody's life is hard. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a background, and some of us don't have the luxury to be like, oh, my life was great, because life isn't great. And I believe that reincarnation is cruel in that sense, because why make somebody come back and do it again? So in Taoism, the belief structure is to get out of reincarnation, to live your life and go to heaven, if that's what you want to call it, you know?
See,
So,
I think philosophically, I think I disagree with the idea that reincarnation is inherently hellish. Um, I I don't know. Me personally, I can't imagine not living. I like living a lot. Um, so I think reincarnation actually sounds kind of neat. It just depends. Obviously, you don't want to live a horrible life, but the ability to have infinite chances at living a really good life seems fairly appealing,
Right.
personally.
Right. No, and I completely agree with you. But how many times over and over do you have to go through that cycle of life again? Like, eventually, you do want to be in heaven, right, Dylan?
It,
Eventually.
I mean, I don't have a belief in heaven, so I mean, would I want eternal paradise? Sure. Do I think it exists? No.
And that's okay. Like, I mean, we're all on different paths. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
absolutely. And we'll all get to the same destination eventually.
Exactly. And I can't wait to see you. Like, and that says a lot, because given your situation, man, like, it says a lot, because, dude, like, you like your life, and that's so good, because most people in your same situation probably hate it. You know? Does that? I mean, I don't want to get too forward.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean that's probably fair.
okay. Can I talk? I know I talked a lot
yeah,
before. Yeah. I get where you're coming from, Kai, about reincarnation being a cruel joke. It's like, okay, so I come here, I experience all these things, and then I reach the apex of the journey in one incarnation, and then I get a reset, but I don't remember where I left off, and I have to keep coming back and back and back and back and back. All right, so I get that. I never had a once I had discovered in the Bible that reincarnation is taught, I didn't have a problem with reincarnation. It made a lot of sense to me. Because, like, one of the cruxes of Christianity is Christ said, and I didn't mention this in the episode where we were talking about reincarnation, and we'll get to how this actually is very important with the Matrix philosophies here shortly, because it is. Um, Christ said, "If I be lifted up, I will bring all men unto me." And that always bothered me when I did not consider reincarnation, because I was like, he just said, all men. If I be lifted up, I will bring all men unto me. But how does that work with a thought process of spirituality that there's a heaven and a hell and you only got one shot? And in the back of my head, even as a Baptist, I was like, sounds like the only cheat code to bring all men unto him if he be lifted up, but because he was lifted up, is reincarnation. And so once I'd gotten the other pieces of the puzzle that, oh my God, he does teach reincarnation, I was like, that's how he does bring, ultimately and eventually, he will bring all individual egos of consciousness unto himself, and it has to be through reincarnation. So, and therein, I lean Dylan's way, which is it's not a cruel joke. It's actually very merciful. Reincarnation is so much more merciful than you got one shot at this, and if you fuck it up, I'm going to torture you in a cauldron forever. Wouldn't you guys say?
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not consistent with the idea of a benevolent, forgiving God to
Mm-mm.
say you get one chance or you burn forever.
Right.
yes. And I agree with you guys. Like, no matter how hard it is for me to believe that it is a cruel joke, or however you want to put it, I still believe that it is the case, because when you say namaste to some people, like Daniel was saying the other day, sometimes you don't want to say that word to somebody because
They're not there yet.
they're not there yet.
Yeah.
And like a big thing, like I can't talk about a lot what happened at that temple. I mean, it's not cultish, no matter how bad Daniel wants it to be cult. It's not, but I can't talk a lot what happened because I mean they cleansed me of a lot of self-regret and like a lot of things I was holding on to that I just don't need. You know what I'm saying? And they cleansed me of that. No matter how you want to say it, you won't know until you go through the ceremony, but it was good. And it really opened my eyes. And I've been eating vegetarian for 2 days now, strong, which is a big thing for me. It's a big thing because I love steak. I love chicken wings. I love all that, you know, but everything in moderation is good, but whenever you overindulge in something, it's considered gluttony, you know. So
Yeah.
I
Everything, like I told you whenever you came out of it, I said that what they're actually just trying to nudge you towards is moderation in all things.
yeah, and
100%.
have compassion for every living thing, and
Yeah.
that's a big thing for me too, because I would step on a plant or kill an ant or cut a head off a snake if it was trying to attack me, but I would probably still do that no matter what because it's a snake.
Well,
but
The the principles that we should live by are basically universal to all religions. That's why I've had trouble buying into the idea that any one philosophy is right, because when you get
no,
down
because
to
they're
it, a lot of them, most of them say the same thing.
yeah.
not. You're right. I mean, they do. Like it's. I told Daniel it's the same record just spun by a different DJ every time. And when I went into the Taoist temple, the first picture I actually sat there in awe of was Lao Tzu, Confucius, Shamadra, Buddha, and Jesus Christ in a circle holding hands. And
Mhm.
that's only four of the five main religions, but the ones that are recognized, there's only five main religions recognized by the United States, for example, as real religions. Everything else is cultish or whatever we want to be. But the fact to see them all holding hands is like, yes, that is spirituality. It's not religion. It's just being spiritual. They all
Yeah.
underwent transformation and in turn gave light to themselves. If that makes sense. I don't
Yeah,
know.
see, as much as I'm not a spiritual person, I'm not. I believe in that idea of transformation. We can become totally different. We can be someone, so we can find the ultimate version of ourselves through self-discovery.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not a spiritual concept in my mind. That's a human concept.
Well, let me. Can I add? I'm reading a book right now called Tantric. Let's see. It's called Tantric. What, dude?
No,
It's
I
called.
thought that was going to be something else.
No, no. It's called Tantric Jesus. It's called Tantric Jesus: The Erotic Heart of Early Christianity. And I'm at a part right now. I can't read too much because of copyright stuff, but I am allowed a certain amount. But um, it basically in the previous parts that I'm reading, it's explaining this idea of duality and reincarnation and change and the Buddhist notion of life is suffering and that the object of life is to escape the illusion. Okay. However, I'm in chapter one, tantric sense of the world, and this is kind of where my philosophy and by intuition has come from. But when I read this, I was like, that's it. So I'm going to read just a little portion and see what you guys think. Negating the reality of the world with its changes and limitations can seem to allow us to escape this whole host of psychic traumas. Quote, because suffering is thus everywhere at the beginning, the middle, and the end. One should abandon samsara, abide in reality, and thus become happy. How appealing a world of changeless pure spirit might seem. However, Such a world is also devoid of growth, of welcoming in new life, and of the beauty that comes from seeing divinity peeking out through the particularities of earthly existence. If we negate the world and disassociate from all process-driven reality, we dishonor the beauty of our own minds and sideline the life of the heart. If we turn away from the world of change, we miss opportunities to offer and receive compassion and love. We miss the excitement of transforming ourselves in our world through enlivening what is most holy in us and in others. I thought that was so profound and shows the beauty of reincarnation and the beauty of what most spiritual schools call the suffering of samsara or life. You know what I mean? Does it resonate with you guys? Because it resonated with me.
No, I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, very well written too.
very well written. Then it says, "And touch her boobs," because it's about tantra. No, no, but
Well,
Do you
that's
touch
really where I thought you were
chopsticks?
going with it.
well, I
Do you
mean,
touch with chopsticks, or you like just digging with the
no,
fork knife?
no,
No,
I mean the art of tantraism anyway
I
is
know what it is.
the art of slowing time down and being in the moment anyway, which is so it's a mixture of matter and timelessness. It's a mixture of Brahma and Atman, both,
Yeah,
through
matter being
divinity.
energy, right?
Matter, yeah, matter being the energy around us that we can touch and taste and feel. This world that we live in, this matrix that we live in, right?
No,
So
most
like these concepts, which is really interesting. And Dylan, when you do get to see Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, obviously the first part, the first movie, which we heavily discussed in the first hour, it's right in your face. It's like this is modern Christianity, and it's very dualistic. Machines are bad, humans are good. There are good guys and bad guys, and it's very dualistic. Okay. And like we said in the first hour, a lot of people loved that because on a subconscious level, they understand on a latent level that we are in a Maya. But everybody most people that I know that are movie enthusiasts, when it comes to Reloaded and Revolutions, they look down their nose, they call it crap, they say it was just gobbledygook, and it's like, what? I thought that from my lens of looking at cinema through spiritual eyes and seeing it, Reloaded and Revolutions were far superior to the first one because the first one, in my opinion, is a prologue, or the entire movie is a world building that allows us Reloaded and Revolutions, which is really where the meat of this mythos is, right? Um, but most people, unless they were looking at the first movie with a very keen eye, wouldn't see that reincarnation is something that's very ingrained in it. But if you look at the fact that all of these people are in pods, okay, in quote unquote reality, they're all unconscious. They're all in pods. They're fed intravenously. Their minds are kept occupied in the matrix, so the illusion of Maya. And whenever their biological body in the quote real world that's in the pod, when it can't function anymore, it's broken down, right? So it's recycled. So it's reincarnated into another pod. So let's say you take an individual like, I don't know, Kai. Kai's in a pod. His conscious mind is in the matrix, but his physical body, his quote real body, is in a dormant comatose state, being fed intravenously from the life force of the dead. And then when his physical body dies, unless he wakes up or becomes enlightened, it's broken down. All of his memories and his experiences of the biological brain that it recorded is also broken down and then disseminated throughout the rest of the other people stuck in the matrix. So that means bits and pieces of Kai, when broken down, are spread throughout the cities, the human farms. So bits and pieces of Kai are shattered and sent everywhere, right? And so even in the first movie, this idea of reincarnation it's there. But when you get to Matrix 2 and 3, it really gets into why that's important. Did you pick up that one whenever you were seeing the second and third one, Kai?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And honestly, not until you just put it into that perspective, then you're like, uh, it's a little weird because now I got to catch up. but you make very good points. Watching those movies from beginning to end, those two movies, actually the second one to be more honest, it starts out with like, Keanu Reeves and like, doing this thing, but then it shoots back to him with the Sentinels being in the pod, right?
Well, the second one, all three movies begin with Trinity in danger. So
Yeah.
the second one starts off with Trinity jumping out of a window, and going into bullet time or whatever, shooting up at an agent that's following her, and she gets shot in the heart. And of course, the movie jumps to or Neo. And not only does every movie begin with Trinity in danger, but every movie where you first see Neo, he is waking up from sleep. So when we first see Neo, it come to find out he's actually having a dream or a premonition of what is to come regarding Trinity, right? So do you remember that?
Yeah. Now I do. Like I
Okay.
said, it's been a while since I watched movies, but yeah, you're bringing it back into full perspective for me.
Right. And like from that point, where it goes is, the captains and the key crew members of all the ships, like the Logos and the Nebuchadnezzar, they're all having a secret meeting, to discuss the fact that the machines are doing a final push on the city of Zion. Right? They're sending the Sentinel Army, in a few days to basically wipe out Zion, because that's what they do. They wipe out Zion, and then they pick, I forget how many it is. I think it's 72 people to restart the human civilization, reboot the Matrix, so that this symbiotic relationship between machine and man can continue to go on and on and on. So that's kind of where it starts. It starts with the captains and their key crew members, discussing what the fuck they're going to do about this impending army. And of course, the new agents show up, and we have that kick-ass scene where Neo's got his new priest-looking trench coat, which I also have, by the way, Dylan, just so you know. I have.
The dude got a
I,
lot of trench coats.
I
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I have both. I have the one from the first and the second one. But
Wait. With that, can I add? I mean, okay. So then, Daniel, I'm gonna ask you again because I tried you on this knowledge before.
sure.
Where did trench coats originate from?
Could you say that again?
Where did trench coats originate from? Like, when was the first trench coat made?
According to you, which I have not fact checked you yet because I take you at your word, it was during World War One or two, whenever they were using mustard gas, and the officers would be in the trenches, and it was to protect them from mustard gas, chemical warfare.
Yeah, exactly. Because mustard gas was like a pollen. Yeah, you got it though, dude. I was just making sure. But yeah, fact check me because I want to be right.
Yeah, it sounds about right to me. What about you, Dylan?
Hey, sounds right to me.
I mean, cloaks go back further, but we're talking about trench coats and a cloak and a coat and a cape or two are all different things. You know what I mean? But in the
Devil, Lucifer, and Satan, right?
yeah. Now, in how I would break down the reason they would choose a trench coat in these movies is, in my opinion, the length of the trench coat would determine the rank of an angel. Like, in biblical or even esoteric Christian-based occult stuff, you have different ranks of angels. An angel looks just like a human, so they wouldn't really have wings or anything. Then you have the seraphim and then the cherubim, archangels, or excuse me, you have the angels, archangels, seraphim, and cherubim. And when I look at these Matrix movies, I look at there's a lot of characters with trench coats of differing lengths, but nobody has the length as long as Neo, right? Who is the Messiah figure. So the length of his coat, or i.e. wings, go all the way down to his ankles, right? That's just me, my interpretation. I've never heard that from anybody else or whatever. I just think that was a choice that the Wachowskis made to indicate that to those who are looking. So that's just me.
Who?
The Wachowskis. The Wachowskis used to be the Wachowski brothers when they had phalluses. Now they do not. They have vaginas.
Right. They're like he she boys.
No, they're not he/she boys. They're female now. I mean, anatomically they are chicks. So we can't call them the Wachowski brothers anymore. We call them.
Trotsky sisters.
I don't think we even call them sisters. I think we just call them the Wachowskis.
Let's just call them the Wachowskis.
Yeah, we just call them the
Yeah.
Wachowskis.
Okay.
So,
I don't want no disrespect. Like, I'm not throwing dirt on their name because I'll be mad if a Sentinel comes in the room tonight, try to kill me.
yeah,
I guess they're the ones that made the movies.
yeah, no bueno, no
Yeah.
bueno.
You know.
So,
What they choose to identify as is nobody else's business but theirs.
No, exactly. But like, yeah, don't make the government pay
yeah,
for
man.
it.
I don't. Again, let's not subsidize it, but I think they could afford their own, reversals, so they did. But I ain't gonna go into anybody's bedroom and tell them what they should be doing because I don't want nobody coming in mine telling me nothing because it's just whatever. All I know is that whether they be male, female, or transgender, they are brilliant. They are brilliant screenwriters. They are brilliant directors, and I mean they're at the top of their craft, in my opinion. And even things that people take a shit on them for, like Cloud Atlas and Jupiter Ascending, which
Jupiter
I
Ascending is
like them.
bad.
what did you say, Dylan?
Jupiter Ascending is really bad.
I would say it is not their strongest work, but what they were trying to say about the veils of reality was very accurate. But that one guy, what's the main guy's name in that movie? The actor.
It's been years.
Anyway, that guy doesn't need to be in movies. He can't act for shit. Okay, so he just needs to quit. I've never seen one movie with that guy in it and said, "Oh, it's a brilliant performance." I was always like, "Where did they get this guy out of like a?" I don't know. Anyway, but no, like Sense8 on Netflix. I don't know if either of you have seen the Sense8 show on Netflix.
I've heard of it and I never watched it.
Brilliant movie. I mean, not movie, but brilliant show. The concept of it, and it's not like The Matrix, but it does the same type of mind expanding consideration of certain concepts as The Matrix. But I digress. Let's get back to The Matrix Reloaded, which I see Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions the way it was intended to be seen, which is one big movie. But if you have to break it down into one, two, and three, Reloaded is my fucking favorite for a lot of different reasons. Um, but anyway, so uh, let's see where it goes from there is the oracle is missing. Nobody knows where the oracle is at. Okay, so now that there is a messiah figure, he has accepted his role. Like he Neo is, without a doubt, he knows that he's Neo now. He knows he is the one um, in this one, and nobody can find the oracle, so they don't have any intuitive guide on what they're supposed to do next in Reloaded. And like if there was ever a time to need a feminine intuition of what to do next, it's now, because these machines are drilling. The Sentinels are drilling down to Zion, and if something isn't done, then all of humanity could get. I mean, everything's going to reset, which is what they don't want. And they still have this binary dualistic type of thinking, which is machines bad, humans good, Matrix bad, reality good. Okay, in this early part of the film, right? You guys following me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it starts to open up into more of like the Taoist esoteric things, broader than just Christianity and its dualism. And it gets into these very free flowing, free thinking, without so many borders and restrictions types of schools of thought within the second movie, right? Does that sound about right, Kai?
Yeah, no, that sounds actually right on point.
Yeah.
Ugh. Sorry, I need to stand up so I don't go to sleep.
Yeah. Well, don't do that. Are we boring you?
No, it's not boring, but this like my futon is comfortable.
Ah,
A very good cover, Kai.
yeah, very good cover. Yes. Uh, so
Uh,
so as
um,
go ahead.
I only have like 20 more minutes.
All right, cool. We'll put a bumper on it then on two. Um, so this one kind of opens up a lot more things. Like for example, um, the idea of the Merovingian in this film. And I have been screaming this since part two came out, since I walked out of the theater. Dylan, there are two characters in the second movie, the Merovingian and his wife Persephone. Okay. Um, And these two individuals, they are, when the Oracle does eventually show up in a park with Neo, she gives him a little bit more information, gives him a little bit more of the same in the first, where she doesn't outright say this or that or whatever. She does make a very interesting statement because he asks her, I keep dreaming that Trinity is falling, and she says, "Do you see her die?" And whenever the Oracle asks Neo that, this look on her face is of great concern. And anyway, ultimately, the Oracle leaves him with is, you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made the choice. You came here to understand why you made that choice. Now, that and most of your critics are like, this movie is filled with so much semantical psychobabble that you can't follow it. When I heard her say that, I was like, okay, one, it's very obvious that Neo is not quite human. His consciousness is not quite human. It's just already from the source. The consciousness that makes up Neo, after I heard her say that, is a program that was inserted into a biological body from the source, from the city of Zero One, right? Because even if you saw only the first one, you would know that Neo is a program. Now, none of the movies outright say that. I'm saying that because the whole point of the Christ motif is that God became a man. So that's even a given in the first one, that Neo's consciousness it did not originate
So,
in that pod.
so am I correct in assuming that because of how much you seem to be putting on this, that you don't agree with the theory that Agent Smith is the one?
Yes and no. Yes and no. And the reason I would say yes is because, well, the reason I would say yes, I'm going to let Kai try to kick around or walk around the lake on this one, is if Neo is representing the Christ, well, the Christ must have a Satan. And Kai, who is Satan?
Oh man, you put me on the spot.
Dude, you said it. You said it in the car the other day on the way back. Who is the devil?
The devil is someone jealous
Oh,
of. No, am I wrong? You just said,
dude, you said it the other day. I mean, you've said it consistently. All right. When Siddhartha Buddha was sitting under the Bodhi tree, and Marta comes, who is Marta? What does Buddha say to Marta, which is their devil? Oh, architect of my ego.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, yeah. Satan is your ego.
Satan
There's
is
no
your ego.
doubt about it. I mean, if you want to project yourself, you're gonna have, an ego.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, perfect.
yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah,
Satan is
I
your ego.
see that. Yeah, Satan's your
Yeah.
ego, and that's why he got such a bad name because people are so distraught to think that their shit don't stink in a sense. They're so believing that they're this God-fearing person, and really it's like, no, that's your ego, and you're not as deep in your faith as you believe.
No. Well, and Dylan and I touched on in the first hour. Most religions, when misinterpreted, put everything outside of yourself, but in reality, it's all within you, because man, know thyself, and you will know the worlds and their gods. And like the Buddhist or Hindu expression, if God were going to hide from man, he would hide inside the human heart, because that's the last place that a human would look, which is true. But I would also argue, same thing goes for Satan. So whenever you see Buddha, when he's facing off with the different trials under the Bodhi tree for 40 days and 40 nights, and he comes to the realization that Satan or the devil or his personal Smith is actually himself. And then you like fast forward 500 years from Siddhartha to Christ, and Christ is in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights until Satan comes to tempt him with three recorded temptations. It was probably more, but three recorded. and then after Christ resists for those 3 temptations that are recorded, the devil goes poof. Why? Because who was it that Christ was facing out in that desert alone? It was himself.
So
It was his ego. So with that motif in the Matrix, yeah, Smith is the one, and Neo is the one, because it's the same individual, which is very much articulated in the final scene of Revolutions, which we'll get to in the next recording. But so to answer your question, Dylan, yeah, I subscribe to the theory that Smith is actually the one, because he does fulfill the prophecy, but he would not have been able to fulfill the prophecy without the cause of Thomas Anderson's Neo. So they are both one and the same. And since Neo is actually his origins, if there is such a thing, comes from the source, so does Smith's. Both of them are programs. They're just two aspects or two algorithms of the same program. Does that make sense, Dylan?
Yes, yeah. They have to be, they both have to be the one because they're the same thing.
Right, they're the same thing. It's balance. So, but yeah, so when the Oracle says that, when the Oracle indicates that he didn't come to here to the Matrix to make the choice. He came here. He has already made the choice. To me, that indicates that the spirit, soul, katra, pa, whatever you want to call it, of Neo pre-existed before his biological birth or creation in the pods. Do you guys follow me, or am I way the fuck out there?
I follow you. I don't know that I love that concept, but
Hey.
I follow you.
Yeah, I mean,
So again, you're only giving me the broad strokes, but here's my sort of interpretation, and where I take some issue with where the Wachowskis took this. I don't like the idea of generally speaking, of a prophesized one who was created specifically for this task. I like the idea that they present in the first film that Neo is the one, but the one theoretically could be anybody.
and yeah,
The idea that he was created to be this, I don't know if I like that or not.
well, and again, Reloaded opens up exactly what you're talking about too, and says that you're kind of correct. And so I'll fast forward a little bit to where the Oracle sets them off on a rabbit trail, breadcrumbs to follow, and tells them, in order to accomplish the goal that you're trying to accomplish, which is to save Zion, you have to get this guy called the Keymaker, and the Keymaker is being held against his will by a program called the Merovingian, and she goes on to explain the Merovingian is the oldest of us. Okay, so right away we know, like the Oracle, that he's a program. Okay, which at this point Neo doesn't really realize that the Oracle is a program either, but we as the viewer kind of have already intimated that she is. Um, but so the Merovingian is one of the oldest programs that there is, and so the heroes, Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus, are set off on a quest to go and have a meeting with the Merovingian and his wife Persephone. So when I saw this the first time, it was very, very, very apparent to me, because me being of the spiritual proclivity that I am, is that where most people who are looking or waiting for a Messiah are mistaken is that there is one Messiah only. No, there's not. There's a Messiah or an avatar for every age of enlightenment or spiritual catapulting forward, so to speak. So to me, it's like, well, we before Yeshua the Christ, we had Siddhartha Buddha, and before Siddhartha Buddha, we had Krishna, who is also Shiva. So it's like every age or aeon or epoch of human civilization, there is a Messiah entity that has to update the script or the code of what the fuck we're all doing here, right?
I'm so scared to find out who ours is for this era.
That's another show, dude. Um,
I feel
but
like I'd be disappointed in the answer.
Bob Hoskins. No,
Okay, I could live with that.
that's my go-to for everything. Bob Hoskins is behind every conspiracy ever. Anyway, so when you see that scene where they go to this fancy restaurant, and they go to meet the Merovingian and his wife Persephone. When I saw Neo and Trinity sit down in front of them, I said, it's a mirror. They're looking at each other. Persephone and the Merovingian are earlier versions of Mary Magdalene and Yeshua Christ from a previous Matrix. So everything that Neo and Trinity are going to have to do in this version, the Merovingian and Persephone already know everything that they're going to do because they were the same
Uh,
code in a
Again,
previous.
I'm also not sure I love that either.
Okay, why?
Because it almost removes any specialness from the actions that Neo and Trinity are going to take. See, I don't mind echoes. Echoes are fine. Echoes are good. Um, the echoes of a different story are what make stories interesting. You have echoes throughout different events. But the idea that it's all the exact same, I don't know. I don't love that concept.
Well,
It,
keep this in mind, Dylan. The things that I'm saying are not told to you in the movie, nor are I mean that this is all my interpretation that
okay.
Merovingian and Persephone are Neo and Trinity. The Wachowskis don't say that in the movie, nor do they give too awful many hints that that's the case.
See, I actually don't mind the idea that they are Neo and Trinity. That's actually cool, I think. But it's when that extrapolates to, and everything Neo and Trinity are going to do, they already did. Where I go, but then where's the specialness?
Yeah, but that's me. That's yeah, that's me, and that's not the Wachowskis that are saying that. Now, I will say, when we do get to our speculations on Matrix 4, that they will actually confirm my long-standing theory in the fourth Matrix movies, because we know that Merovingian and
The,
Persephone are returning for 4.
well, the rumor, and I don't want to stick on this too long. The rumor is they're going to make Neo evil.
Um, I would say that he will more likely than not by the end of the fourth movie, which we'll get to, have to step into a Shakespearean role or wear a mask as an antagonist for the newly created Matrix. Okay, I mean, but
Yeah.
we'll get to that, and I'll break that down when we get to the speculation on 4. So back to part 2, where they're meeting the Merovingian and Persephone, and the Merovingian, basically he's very French. It's a cool actor and a cool character, but he's like, this whole thing. There's only one constant, and it's cause and effect. And Morpheus is like, no, everything begins with choice or free will, and he says, no, that's just an illusion. That's an illusion to make you think you have free will, and so it puts these big philosophical
Well, I,
conundrums in front of you.
I would say they're both wrong. Choice is the cause.
What do
I-
you? Okay.
the choice is the cause. If you choose to do something, you are creating a cause for the effect.
Mhm.
So the free will does absolutely. I mean, free will does exist as much as people need it to exist. The illusion of free will is all people need.
You two speak about this for a moment. I have to step aside for a minute. So you and Kai discuss free will versus causality.
Kai,
Yes, sir.
you're up. I made my case.
No, I agree with you. I think you're onto something there, but free will is something that is given to everybody. What we choose to do with it is completely up to us. You know what I'm saying? Um, I
Mm.
have the free will to go to school or do something productive with my life. When I say productive, I mean that's actually going to further pursue my career and my life choices. And but with the same breath, I believe free will is something that people uh they take it and they do with exactly what the words say, free will. So they go and they fuck it up, right? Right. But that doesn't mean they're necessarily lost, you know. They're just exploring their free will. So when it comes to this fourth one with Neo being bad, I believe that we all have the capacity to be bad. I mean, we all do. Literally, we all have the capacity to be bad.
We're all shades of gray.
Right. That's actually profound. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. We're all shades of gray. And so if they take it that way, I'm going to be super into it. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I think it's going to be a great. And if the whatever, Wachowskis, if they take it that direction, oh, they got a new Matrix lover for life. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd be a great spin on the story because he's been good for this long. But if you watch the first movie, you can look like he was on the fence the whole time. Like he did it because he was trying to save the woman he loved, blah blah blah. But if they go ahead and just kill Trinity off in the fourth movie, then he lost his whole meaning of being, free willed. So he's just gonna. I mean, he hasn't lost the meaning, but he's just gonna explore that. He's gonna take it, and just go buck off.
If this is the type of story that Daniel likes, the idea of filling a role and free will, I actually have something for him to watch, but I'll wait till he gets back.
What's that?
You weirdo!
No,
he can't be like
fucking creepy.
He can't be like.
I was peeking through the blinds. Wow.
You never actually left.
No.
You never left. You've been here all along.
Just like Jesus.
Or
Anyway.
Krishna.
So we got. Yeah. Now you're cooking with fire, Dylan. Now you're cooking with fire.
Okay, so I don't want you guys to start on another point because I got 3 minutes.
Understood. Talking about free will versus causality or determinism, I was asked one time by somebody of a religious proclivity, how do you think, and he uses the name Jesus, I use the name Yeshua, same thing. But I was asked one time, how do you think that Jesus was able to predict the future in order to fulfill the prophecies? And I said, well, that's easy. He read the book of Daniel, which was written hundreds of years before, and he played the part as the character in a script that was in the book of Daniel, because the book of Daniel gives whoever was to fulfill the prophecies a step-by-step of everything they should do in order to make those prophecies happen. So there is that would seem to indicate that there is no free will, that there is just determinism. However, Yeshua still had choice to either play that part or not. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, yeah, there's a certain aspect of cause and effect and determinism, but we as individuals do have the capacity to make choice to either go along with it or alter it, nudge it, or outright upend it. And so that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to those philosophical conundrums. You can get in the roller coaster and just go with the flow, go with the ride, or you can choose the bumper cars, which is, to a degree, you have control of the wheel. Yeah, so I'm somewhere in between. Sometimes,
yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Even from a practical perspective, like a completely non-spiritual perspective, we have free will, but we have biological predetermined routes that we will take because of how we're built.
We have programming within our DNA that would seemingly put us on a definite course, but we also have the capacity to get upgrades and evolve to a place where we transcend
Exactly.
The video game, the scenario.
Exactly. And that's sort of where I stand. Yes, we have free will. That free will isn't definitive, and sometimes our biology can overrule us, but we do have it if we want it.
If we want it. And I think that's a good place to bookmark it. We didn't finish Reloaded. I think we should finish it tomorrow because there's still a lot more to go. So.